Happy homecoming, everybody, and welcome to the University of Indianapolis virtual homecoming day here on this wonderful October Saturday. Obviously, we're doing this pre-recorded, and today we're joined by the UIndy Volleyball head coach, Jason Reed. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
So for Virtual Media Day, we're taking a look back at some past games. For you guys, it's less than a year ago, a little over a year ago, with Lewis.
It was a fun match from what I remember. We have nothing but respect for those guys. We know that kind of year in, year out, they've built something on a national stage, and we know it's going to be a good match. And so that was a fun one. It was a good match, and if I remember correctly, we went the distance, and a lot of good things, some bad things, but definitely a good match went in our favor.
So what was kind of the thought process when we were talking about what match to do for this?
Well, as you're thinking about what we might want to talk about, you can watch some 3-set hour and shower blowout, and that's not real fun. You get a lot more out of these matches that are stressful, and for the fans, they're a lot of fun. For the coaches, we're aging quickly on the bench, and the gray hairs are starting to come in. But those matches are the ones that really help us for the rest of the year. And so, again, with respect to Lewis or somebody else that's just going to be a really good match, we know that we're going to grow from that, whether we win or whether we lose. And so I think that was kind of one of the things going into it. I think if you ask the girls, we all like beating up on Lewis. So that's an easier part of the equation as well.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this match. It is 5-setter, as Jason already spoiled. It's not going to be a deep analysis. We're just going to have a conversation between him, and we'll have another player and former player coming in later, and just talk about going into the match, what happened during the match, and maybe some more stuff. Knowing you, we'll probably start talking about cars from the 30s and why houses were built.
I'm ready for it.
All right, well, let's get the game rolling. So, big match like this, you said I know the girls get pretty pumped when they play a team like Lewis, and Lewis specifically. They're number 6 in the country coming into this. They were undefeated in GLVC play so far. What was kind of the team mindset, or what was going through their heads, do you think?
Well, anytime you're playing somebody that's of this caliber, it's easy to get up for it. And so as coaches, I think we're almost trying to spend a little bit more energy trying to just bring everybody back down to earth, because the juice is already there. And so now it's just a matter of focus. And really for both sides, I as we kind of get into the match here just a little bit, I think you see some nerves going into it. And so that's kind of, they're up already. They want to play. So for these guys, we want to spend these first few points, whether they're good or whether they're bad, just kind of everything's on purpose. We miss a serve out of bounds, great, we're being aggressive. We hit a ball out of bounds, that's okay, way to go for it. We get shanked on a pass, that's fine. We do something great, that's fine. We don't want to get too high either. And so really with something like this, we're trying to manage some of the emotional part of it as the game starts to settle into a groove.
So right there, first set to freshman, Kyra Simmons. Was that plan going in? If it's good ball, just go right to her? Or?
No. We, in this match and in most of the matches, we have so many freshmen out on the court. It was one of the things that I was noticing as we were playing. Was we have so many young folks out on the court, and we could have started in a different rotation and set our other freshmen, given the situation, another freshman. And so it wasn't necessarily the thing. One of the things that I thought was pretty interesting about this first set was how in system we were. We were really in control, despite some of the nerves, despite some of the excitement of the match. And the reason why we were able to set Kyra on that first play is because we were in a great situation. Okay, so another great pass there, and we set the middle again. You can tell we're trying to set that middle to establish that, to really kind of spread the net. We hit it out of bounds and kind of talk back about the nerves, but so far, despite being down 2-1, I really feel like we're already in control. We've had now 3 passes, all 3 good situations, and it's going well so far despite the score.
Emma with her first kill. She was one of 3 players set 40 times. It was her 6th, 10th, 12th collegiate volleyball match after having to sit out her freshman season. What was it like to have her back on the court for the first time, really?
Exciting. And, to be very honest, and I think she might tell you, well, maybe she'll tell you differently, but we didn't know if Emma was ever going to be able to play. And so for her, the background on her story is really pretty exciting. Not exciting, she had a multitude of knee surgeries, and we were getting to the point where it was just kind of like, we don't know if you're ever going to be able to play. And kind of, I guess, fast forward through her true freshman year into this season, she starts being in practices a little bit more regularly. The pain that she's been having in her knees becomes a little bit more manageable, and seeing her out on the floor is one of my absolute favorite things right now, because she is so thankful. She's so grateful to play, and then beyond that, she's a stud. So it was really cool. We're really glad to see her. And in this match, we're missing our senior right side, Julia Cruzan, with some back issues, and so it was really nice to have Emma that stepped up and played, and so that was really neat to see.
Just from that last rally, and there was a lot of long rallies from this night. What is anything going through your head, or are you just reacting when you're constantly hitting the ball back and forth?
Well, for coaching staff, you can look at the numbers and see that, and I couldn't tell you exactly off the top of my head, we're hitting close to 200 or a little above, and they're hitting 230 or thereabouts going into this match. But we know that going into a match like this, where they're going to take a lot of pride in their defense, and we're going to take a lot of pride in our defense, those hitting percentages are going to go down a lot. And so we feel like we had a good game plan going in, and I know that they felt the same. And that means that they're going to take away the things that we do well, and they're going to take away the things that they do well. And so because of that, we see the long rallies. That really, to me, wasn't a big surprise. We fully expected it to be kind of a grinding match, and that's exactly what we got.
So we talked just before we started about how many servicers there were total. I think there were 25 between both teams, a lot of them here in the first set. How important was serving going in for this match specifically?
Well, so volleyball coaches all over the country are saying, the game's lost, won or lost in the serve or serve-receive battle. And I think in this first set specifically, there were a ton. I think we might have had 7 missed serves in this first set. Lewis, I don't know, probably 4 or 5. And so that's 12. You're talking half of a set of points, 3 in a row here. Right. And I know that, I guess in my mind, you don't want to call it out too much because then if you just pop the ball in, now they're going to be in system and they're going to score anyway. So there's this fine line where you have to be aggressive, and you've got to make sure you're putting the pressure on their offense, but you can't go back and just continually miss the serves. More than anything, I'm thinking about on Monday morning, Dr. Willie's going to come into my office and go, Jason, you guys have got to make your serves. And I'll go, oh, okay, Doctor, thank you. I didn't make our serves. We'll work on that. I'm just kidding, Dr. Willie.
And there was another one too.
Yeah, 3 in a row for us?
Yeah, I think so.
So one of the things with that, one of the things I noticed with this first set is that, kind of jokingly but kind of accurately as well, we scored all the points here. So whether we were missing serves, whether we were, in that one we took a really aggressive swing, we were kind of dictating the tempo. And so I'm okay with that. If we're going to come out and be aggressive, especially against a really high caliber team like Lewis, and we're going to make some mistakes, we're going to live with that, because the next play there you see we take another aggressive swing and the outcome comes in our favor. So, the joking part was we scored all of our points. We scored most of Lewis's points. We threw some points to the officials, and that's okay. We were in control of the tempo of the match, and more often than not, that's going to go in our favor in the long run.
Yeah, I'm sure the big thing is just not letting Lewis or really any team string together 3, 4, 5, 6 points in a row.
Yeah,
you always talk about who's gonna make. Everyone's gonna make mistakes in this game, but who's gonna make them less?
definitely similar to a baseball, softball type of sport. It's a game of errors. Our game typically ends on somebody making some form of mistake or not being able to execute. And so you're going to live with some of the mistakes. Hopefully the mistakes are going to be from an aggressive standpoint, not from a not focused standpoint. But when you're really going for it, those are the ones that are going to be okay. So, I keep kind of bringing up the being in control. Man, what a great hustle play there on their part. But we get the ball back. We're in system. We get to run kind of whatever it is we want. We end up scoring the points.
And able to get up to that upperclassman.
Do we have one out there? That's great.
Well, I guess Taylor's a junior.
She was
upperclassman for this team. Only a few seniors.
Yeah, Taylor did a really nice job. Kind of night in, night out. This match and many of the other matches. Taylor, who we call Birdie, she just does it all for us. She's one of our best passers. She scores points. She, from a defensive standpoint, really does a nice job. Offensively, we can rely on her. She's really an all-around player and a great team leader for us. And so, no surprise to see her doing well.
She jumps out of the gym too. That's why she's called Birdie, isn't it?
Well, so two reasons for the Birdie. Within the first couple of days of her being on campus as a freshman, when she would make a mistake, which happens when you're a freshman a little more frequently, she would make this bird noise. Like, I'm not going to replicate it because I don't want to embarrass myself. But that and the combination of her really being able to jump high kind of, I don't know how many other people call her Birdie, but I definitely will be continuing to call her Birdie. And she still makes it, by the way. She makes that sound every now and again, about once per practice, although she will swear vehemently up and down that she doesn't make that noise. As soon as she does, I make sure to point it out. And she's
going to
like,
have to start recording practice.
I did it again, didn't I? She's like, yeah.
I think that was the third, maybe fourth kill of the set for Elizabeth Eads, another freshman, obviously. Yep. She had 10 for the match, but 7 in the first set. So I'm not sure the nerves were there for her at all.
She came out real strong, and I think that the slide for her was her best weapon. She did a really nice job coming off of 1 foot. Kind of a junk kill there, but we'll take them how we get them. And kind of going back to the slide, she's one of the quicker players we have in the gym. And so with her running behind the setter, that being more of a dynamic play, she pretty much had her way in this first set. I think kind of a little bit later, they did a little bit better job of defending it, but that was definitely an important part of the game plan. It kind of spreads the net. Katie Furlong there, number 4 stitch, we call her. She's going to get her kills. And so if their defense is really keyed in on her, that kind of opens up Eads to score some points, and she took full advantage of having a good situation for this first set for sure.
Yeah, like you mentioned a little bit ago, they're going to take away our best players. We're going to take away their best players. Katie still ended up with 15 kills, 204 hitting for the night. I think you'll take that out of your stud.
Yeah, that's a pretty good night, and I think you talked to her and she would have said that she wanted more kills than that, but. Yeah. Against a nationally ranked top 10 opponent, for her to have a night like that where it's 3 kills per set, I mean, that's a big deal. Those are all American numbers, really. And so she had a really good night, and I think Alyssa, setter, did a really, really nice job of spreading things around, especially early in the match, so that way we weren't just going to her over and over and over again, getting some other players going that allowed her to have some bigger numbers later on in the match.
Let's talk about Alyssa then. She came in as a sophomore, transferred when St. Joe's unfortunately closed. What was it about her growth, her final 3 seasons, that really made her into the team leader that she was specifically for this 2019 squad?
She got tremendously better from the time that she was a sophomore to the time that she was a senior. So I'm really, really proud of her on and off the court. When she first got here, we were running a 6-2, and she was she struggled. She did her. I mean, she's always worked hard. She's always. There's never been any question from that standpoint. But the evolution of her game, being able to be a better blocker, a better defender, a better setter, and really a phenomenal leader. It was really, really impressive what she was able to do. And so her senior year, all the accolades that she had, certainly well deserved. But there was at some point, it might have been kind of junior year, where she just let it go, let it being about her. Not that she was ever selfish or anything like that, but there's just this dedicated commitment to everybody else, whether it was another setter teammate, whether it was anybody else on the team. She just poured into everybody else, and consequently, she just got way, way better. And so, really cool to see. She was an absolute stud by the time she walked out the doors here.
A unanimous LGLVC first teamer last year, the first COSIDA Academic All-American in program history, which seems pretty impressive considering we have some pretty smart and amazing alum that came through the volleyball program.
Yeah, I did. I definitely checked it. Not to take anything away from Alyssa, but to your point, I called up a couple of the guys that I thought, did you ever get an academic All-American? Thinking that they would have. Kylie Turner, at this point, she said, no, I never got this. Oh, okay. She, well deserved, and would have been if she had that honor. But super cool, great honor for Alyssa, certainly well deserved. Now, Alyssa in grad school to become a social worker. She's a stud of a human, doing big things outside of the gym, the Ruth Lilly walls.
Which is what it's about. We preach here about getting a degree, and she impressed on the court, but I think it's pretty safe to say she's going to impress even more off.
Absolutely. Kind of for me coming here 8 years ago, the mantra was very much that, our students are going to graduate, they're going to be respectful, and we're going to win. And in that order. And kind of as we've had a changing of the guard from Dr. Willie to Scott Young, he's kind of preaching a similar thing, and it's very much that we're going to win. We're going to win in the classroom, we're going to win in the gym, and we're going to win as people. And that's definitely a great example. And all of our seniors in this year and many of the past years as well, it's that same thing. We're kicking butt in the classroom. Last semester, we were around 3.8 for team GPA. That's through the roof. That's pretty good. But we do know that. We know that when they get here, they're going to kick butt, whether it's in the class, whether it's in the gym. They're going to grow up and they're going to be a professional, something else. And we're excited about that.
Yeah, you mentioned Julia, almost got to 1,000 career kills. Jenna Davis almost surpassed 1,000 career digs. And then, of course, Mary Grace Ertl, who just had to call it a career a little early, but obviously stuck around. It was a pretty great senior class that came through.
Yeah, they did the big things, and from a culture standpoint, they made a big difference on continuing the growth of the program in the direction that we wanted to do it. So you couldn't ask for 4 better human beings who happened to also be really steadily on the volleyball court. And now all those guys are going to go and do wonderful things in their own collective circles outside of UIndy. And obviously they're always welcome back here. This is home for them, and we'll get excited to follow in their successes as they move forward.
Just another violent swing from Emma. That's every time she swings, I kind of have to go back a little bit. I don't know how it just doesn't land or hit off the unfortunate receiver's arms.
Yeah, so we actually just talked about that the other day in practice, where you could play small ball every now and again. You are allowed to tip it. And so she goes, I get up there and I just want to hit the ball so hard. I said, okay, well, we started talking about what the block, if the block does this, then this shot will be open. And a couple of plays later, she ended up having this really nice tip in practice, and she immediately looks over like, hey, I did it. And so that was pretty cool. So I know it's in there, and the evolution of her game is going to continue. I think we'll take some reminders every now and again of hey, you don't have to just crush it every single time. Although she probably could.
So it's 21-20 now. You guys were up 18-16 a little bit ago. At what point Talk us through the thought process of when do you call a timeout? And is it more of momentum? Is it more to talk about something? I know you were a little more lenient this past year or two.
Yeah. I definitely go a little bit with gut. And so if you look out and there's calm despite a mistake, a lot of times I'm going to trust the team and kind of see if they're okay from a mental standpoint. If the eyes are big, and they're kind of looking around, or it starts to get quiet, those are going to be some times when I might call a timeout. Momentum definitely has a lot to do with it. So sometimes it's going to deal with our side, sometimes it's going to deal with the other side. If you can kind of sense that the other side's getting kind of into a rhythm and they're starting to feel good, that might be a good time to kind of break up some of that. But I very much want to trust my teams. And so, to your point, kind of giving them a little bit longer leash and letting them figure it out on their own. Sometimes you eat one. I think that there have been sets, I know there have been sets that I probably could have helped win by bailing them out with a timeout. But there's a long season and there's a bigger part to think about, that if they can problem solve some of it in real time without the help of the staff, it's going to help out for later. And we'll see some of that resilience come back because we let them solve the problem on their own.
Yeah, right now it's 22-20 in favor of Lewis. As you know, as a lot of people know, volleyball is a game of runs.
Mm-hmm.
As the Hounds get another point here, not to spoil anything here, and a couple points, but the team didn't really have any other choice to score a few in a row, unless they wanted to get down to a number 6 team in the country.
Yeah, that swing coming out of the timeout, that was a big kid swing. Both of these swings.
Back-to-back points out of the timeout.
Coming out of the timeout, force them to call the timeout. We come out, coming out of our timeout, and Birdie goes up and she bangs the top of the block out of bounds. That's just beautiful. That's a great swing, and then goes back and serves a really tough ball. We get a relatively easy ball to defend, and then we set Eads, who had a phenomenal first set, to kind of give us the lead. And already in the last 2 minutes, we've had a momentum swing from our side where we were up 18-16, as you pointed out, to now they're kind of in control 22-21, and then we take the lead back in the 20s. And well, we won't spoil it just yet, but it can continue to go back and forth, and you expect that with a high caliber match like this. But yeah, this is exciting. I'm dying on the sidelines at this point, but trying to be ducks on the pond.
I know when I first got here a few years ago, you were jumping up and down all the time, and then we'll talk about her in the next set. But Julie Street came in as an assistant and kind of tamed you down a little bit. Now you're just sitting there internally taking it.
Very zen. Yeah, I think maybe it's getting old too. I don't stretch before the matches, so I don't want to hurt a knee or anything.
Did you used to stretch?
Now, when you're young, you don't stretch. You get old and then you stop. So, no, I think that your teams feed off of you, and so if you can kind of be calm through good things and bad things, that they can kind of supply their own energy.
Now another service error.
Yeah,
don't have the total number for this set, but now you're sitting at 23-22, which doesn't seem like an ideal spot to be.
No, that's a cardinal sin right there. We make our serves out of the timeout. That's a big volleyball rule, and so that's a bummer. But
you go right to your stud after that.
But you talk about resilience. You come back, we get the ball back. We set Katie Furlong, who goes and scores the point for us. That's a big deal.
Maddie Rosenberger comes in to serve for Eads. She did that a lot this past year. She saw a bit more playing time down the stretch, but really came in to serve as your, not a closer per se, but a reliever from the serve line. Yeah,
so we had a lot of faith in Maddie to come in and do her job, and time again. That's not an easy thing to do. When you come in at 23-23 against the number 6 team in the country, and we're asking you to put the ball in a certain spot with pace, and she went in and did a great job, and so we've been real pleased with Maddie over the course of this last season. She's grown a lot in the gym, and we look forward to her doing some big things in the coming years.
Talk about recovery right there with Mckenna Barnhart, a redshirt libero, another freshman to keep you guys in it. And that's another long rally.
This whole rally has just been an entire, somebody gets it 2 inches off the floor, somebody else gets it a foot, and we kind of spit back over. And throughout this entire sequence, it was just a gut check. Really, really proud of the effort here towards the end of the set to get it to where we were in a position, because we took some big swings. I asked the girls, swing to win, take the chance. And within all of those situations, some funky things happened, but pretty cool to see the situation that we're in, because we're just fighting. It was awesome.
And just like that, back in the lead. Lewis calls their second timeout, final timeout of the set. Back row attack there by Lewis. Last couple of years, no more jumping. You guys are falling back to play defense. Mm-hmm. Talk about that kind of change in defensive philosophy without going too deep into it right now.
Very honestly, I've never really been a big fan of blocking the back row attack to begin with. You end up given an advantage more so to the offense than the defense. The young lady that took the swing there, Preuss, she's a stud. She's a really, really nice player, so she's going to score on that probably a little more frequently than some of the other girls in our conference. But we feel a lot of confidence in our defense to be able to pull off our front row, have them cover anything that might be shorter off the tape, and then allow for our backcourt to defend. And fortunately, she hit that one out of bounds. But we like to pull it off, and very rarely will we defend the back row with a blocker, just because we know what the numbers are going to tell us, and we think it makes a little bit more sense to just play defense against that attack.
What are you telling your girls in the timeout right now?
Be aggressive. Go for it. Win the effort battle, win the voice battle, and when you get a chance to take a swing, take a swing. We're not tipping to extend a rally. Let's go for it. And if we lose it, we lose it. But we'd rather be in control of our own destiny. So that was kind of the message. It's winning time. Don't be afraid right now. Go for it.
It's Alyssa with the serve coming out with a big dig there, and just lack of communication there. What happened on that Lewis side?
Yeah, they subbed in a different setter to give a better blocking matchup, and when the dig came over, it looked like there might have been just a little bit of miscommunication, maybe a little bit of a crummy way to end it. But that's the game. I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. Laura Lee made a tactical decision in that situation and didn't happen to work out. But that's how it goes. That's a smart decision. The girl that she put in is a nice blocker, 6'1", going against our best attacker and Katie Furlong, and so that's a good decision. It just didn't, and the way it played out didn't kind of work out in their favor. So good for us, I suppose.
Well, that's the first set. We'll be back here in a minute with the second set. Welcome back to 2020 Virtual Homecoming here at the University of Indianapolis. We're going back to look at past games and talk about them. And today we're focusing on the volleyball match from last season, 2019 season, against number 6 Lewis. Back with me for the second set is head coach Jason Reed.
It's like deja vu all over again.
Welcome back, and let's get right back into it, I guess. So scored the final 3 points of the first set to come back, win 26-24. Obviously big in any match. And then now you're talking about a team like Lewis. You have almost go down 0-1. Now you're in 1-0.
Yeah, nice to be in control of the first set. Never really want to get too satisfied, and that was probably one of the messages to the girls at the intermission there was to, hey, nice job. We need to cut down on some of the mistakes that we made, some of the errors, some of the service errors. But stay aggressive. Don't really settle. Don't be satisfied with that first set. Thankful that we're up 1-0 rather than down 0-1, which I think is what happened the year before, right? When we get down and fight back, and a couple of the different matches, maybe not the Lewis one, but always nice to be ahead and be in the driver's seat.
Same rotation as the first set? starting out at?
I think we might have clicked it back one.
Jenna's on the serve.
Yeah. So a lot of times we're going to try and match up our defense based upon what we think they're going to put their offense, and to Julie, our first assistant coach's credit, she's pretty good at that. So we do a fair amount of scouting, and more often than not, get it pretty right in terms of lining up our defenders against their attackers, and so the lineup that we had there was definitely on purpose to get into a spot to where we were going to be able to defend a certain way.
So getting up 1-0, it's not going to get any easier. I guess, especially against a team like this.
No, and like we've said earlier, they're awfully good. We feel like we're awfully good, and so there's no cruise in this one. It's going to be a back and forth match the entire time. We're going to score a few points. They're going to score a few points, and it really is just going to kind of go back and forth. And so, nice swing by Birdie there. Good pass. We kind of felt, even on the very first play on their end, they came out and they were kind of trying to get themselves excited in their little huddle, and that is definitely a Lewis thing, to try and get excited and start jawing just a little bit. And that helps them play well.
Right.
So you could see kind of.
I remember last year when we went there, it was their senior night, and they were very loud, just as a team, and trying to hype themselves up, and obviously eventually worked because they won it 4, but that's Lewis thing for sure.
Yeah, and we don't want to take away credit from their ability to play volleyball. They're good, but they definitely can achieve a level, another gear, if you will, with some of, and it really isn't through the net. They're kind of just they're almost jawing to each other, but
yeah.
It can very much be perceived that they're talking trash through the net, and so yeah, that's Lewis. And I guess kind of before my time, some of the Jody's programs, it got to where it was through the net and a little bit back and forth, and it always, I think that's one of the things that kind of has helped create this rivalry, is that there's certainly no love lost between Lewis and Indy. There's a ton of respect, but man, we don't like those guys. They don't like us either.
Well, usually some of two of the top teams in the GLVC.
Yeah, that's
they hosted the regional this past in 2019. So you guys, UIndy made it back for the first time in a handful of years. What was that like? That whole experience, and then going up to Lewis, if that really has any effect on how you think of it?
Really well deserved for the girls. I thought that we were 2 years ago. I thought we were an Ncaa tournament caliber team, and I think we showed that. We had some really nice wins. We had some top 25 wins, beating Lewis, beating Rockhurst. We beat Truman. We had these really nice wins, and so I thought that we were kind of knocking on the doorsteps. Sorry, I got to pause that for the swing where Birdie just tagged their middle in the stomach. Yeah. Man, that was, if they were.
How do you react to that as a player? Just hoping she doesn't hit it to you?
For that player, hoping like.
Yeah. What do you do when you see a player like Birdie fly up in the air on a good ball?
It's not TV appropriate. I think I would be saying, "Oh no," and then like try not to pee my pants a little bit. So that was a really good swing, and even as a coach, I'm doing my best not to smile a little bit in that situation. But that's a heck of a swing, and she had a couple of those where they're not quite expecting that swing, and there it comes. But to your last question, we were excited 2 years ago. We thought we had the Ncaa caliber team and we're kind of knocking on the door, just fell a little bit short. And so this last year, it was nice for their hard work to be rewarded, to get back to that level. And I didn't care where it was. You could have sent us to Houghton and been at Michigan Tech. I wouldn't have cared where it was. We were really excited to be able to compete on that next stage with the team that we had, and kind of looking forward, or we were looking forward, minus all the COVID stuff, to be in a situation where we can compete at that level again this year.
So it's good recovery we talked about in the first set, not letting the other team string together 3, 4, 5 points in a row. That was a few in a row right there, but the team cut it short now, make it 7-5 instead of 8-4, which it's early in the set, but it still seems like a pretty big deal for the momentum for the rest of the set.
Yeah, you might be able to get away with some poor or some sloppy play, some longer runs against teams that don't have quite the hitters that these guys do. But when you get down to 5 to Lewis, like, it's awfully tough to get back. And so being able to keep those runs to 2 or 3 points, 4 at the most, that's going to be a big deal in terms of staying around. And you can't get too high or too low. If we had some sets, more so a couple years ago than this year, where we'd get beat 25-14, it'd seem like. And in our sport, you can kind of just go, well, next, just delete it and move on to the next one. And so in a match like this, you'd rather not get into that situation, because that could be a crushing blow, just
Sure.
mentally. So to be able to stay within a couple of points, whether you're up or whether you're down, that's going to be an important piece of the puzzle.
And not to talk about another match in depth right now, but that's exactly what happened in the NCAA tournament game.
Yeah.
It was 25-12, I think. You guys won that first set, but then the third or fourth set lost 25-14.
Yeah.
It was still a 5-set thriller, arguably the best match of the NCAA tournament there at the Midwest Regional. And it's one of those things you just put in your pocket. You're like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, that didn't go well. or you're on the other side of it, 25-12, and you're like, wow, we're pretty good. But it's also such a segmented thing. You're really good for 20 minutes, we were really bad for 20 minutes, and you can dwell on it and really worry about this, that, and the other, or you can kind of try to make a couple of adjustments. And in those situations, especially when you're on the downside of it, it's just go back to the basics. Go back to focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah.
And at the very beginning of the broadcast, talked about being able to control the serve or the pass, and so usually that's a lot of times the message. Let's get back in system. Let's get back into a situation where we can control the tempo and be in control of the feel of the match. And so right now you're seeing it's the opposite. Lewis is in charge. They definitely are controlling the tempo. We're kind of on our heels. We don't have that same aggressiveness that we did in the first set, and down 4. Called the timeout. I think that's probably a good time for that. Kind of regroup, get back to where we can try to control the match, whether we win the points or whether we don't. Just be the aggressor. That's going to be a good thing moving forward.
So you're telling the team right now just to stick with the game plan. It's only a few points.
Stick with the game plan. Control the controllables. Don't live in the future. Don't live in the past. But right now, the next goal would be, in whatever position you are, like, do the absolute best that you can. If you're a passer, move your feet to the ball, get a good pass. If you're the setter, get your feet to the ball, deliver a good set. If you're the hitter, get your feet to the ball, take a big swing, try to hit around the block, be aggressive with it. And so in whatever the position is, if you're on the bench, then do your absolute best cheering. And so just be where your feet are at right now. Don't worry about the score. Worry about doing the next right thing next.
It's hard to believe still how many freshmen actually contributed, not just played, but contributed to the team in this match specifically.
Yeah, we.
I mean, a couple redshirt freshmen, but still freshmen nonetheless.
I think as I'm thinking here, that may have been the reason for some of those sets that were 25-12.
Yeah.
You see some of the inconsistencies with our group, and that very much could attribute to some of those scores. But what's the saying? The best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. And so we lived through a great year where we were a really strong team, and those guys got a lot of experience because they played in a lot of high-level matches. And now as we move forward, we get to reap the benefit of all that experience. And so, expecting good things for the next couple of years. And
yeah, I think our freshmen turning into sophomores isn't good for anyone else.
That's too bad for them.
With Mckenna and Jillian Santana, pair of freshmen with over 300 digs apiece last year. They played every single match. And then you start talking about the outside. Like Emma came in with Mckenna a couple years ago.
Yep.
And just a lot of, and then Eads and Cairo, 2 freshman middles right there. Hup's only a sophomore.
Hupp was a sophomore this year. Yeah.
All the middles are underclassmen and lowerclassmen. Yeah,
it's exciting moving forward. We have a lot of depth in every single position. This year's class, the freshman class, is doing a really nice job. We're excited for their development. Nice swing there on the overpass by Emma. Excited for their development, and I wouldn't have argued this year that we're watching here that we were a super big team. We weren't really tall, but we've added some size in the gym, and so in addition to being pretty scrappy with the defense, you mentioned Jillian and Mckenna with the 300 digs apiece. Their life might get just even a little bit easier because of the size that we have now at the net. So pretty excited with everything that we have coming back and the girls that we've been able to bring in. It's an exciting time to be a UIndy Greyhound volleyball player right now.
So you call the timeout, down 4, 11-7. And now Lewis has kind of maintained this 5-point lead. Now it's 6. It's still focused on what's just the game plan right now, or what are you thinking? What are you telling the girls from 12 feet away on your seat?
It's still the same message. We still have to try and control the controllables, and we can't forget that they're going to do a good job too. And so, as you watch some of the NBA finals or some of the other things that are going on, you'll see that. You'll see teams that are doing their absolute best, they're doing everything right, and the other team is just executing at a little bit higher rate. So, we called the timeout. We still made a couple mistakes. Lewis is playing well. So even if we're doing everything right, they're still going to be able to score some points, and we'll live with that. If we're controlling what we can control and it's just not going our way, that's part of the game sometimes. So we don't want to get too excited about losing a point here or there, and just try to continue to do the same things.
That's why it's a best of 5.
That's why it's best of 5, and you would think over the course of it, the better team should win. They're going to be able to consistently perform at a higher rate. So this set definitely not passing as well as we were in the first set, and you can definitely tell by the score. But for us, we are trying to pass that ball inside of that circle. Okay, so the U of I logo there in the circle, we want that ball inside of that. So if Alyssa's taking the ball, if she's setting the ball and her feet are inside that circle, we're in system. We got all of our attackers. Okay, so there's a good example of that. She's just outside of that circle, that's still a pretty good situation. We're in system. A lot of these passes were in this second set. She's behind the 10-foot line. And now our offense gets kind of stale. Mm-hmm. They know where we're going to go. It gets a lot easier to defend. And then, the flip side of that is now they're passing a little bit better. And so when we talk about this momentum piece, more often than not, it has a lot to do with that component. So we get a good pass, we get a kill. And it really kind of is as simple as that. And with the momentum piece of it, I guess to kind of go back to that just a little bit, if you kind of feed off of that. So if you get a good couple of passes in a row, from a player standpoint, you get into a rhythm. You start feeling, you get like you got a good touch on the ball. You're seeing the ball well out of the server's hands. You can help be in system. And then what ends up happening is it bleeds into other areas of the game. You start serving a little bit more aggressively. Your confidence goes up, and you start executing other facets of the game better. And so that momentum starts to shift, and you start to get in control of the match. And then consequently, what can happen is that you get a bad pass. Now you start thinking about some of those things. You get another bad pass. Now all of a sudden it can become this thing where it's like, oh no, like I can't pass anymore, or I'm really struggling. And so this set we've been out of system more so than they've been out of system. They've got the lead. So it'll be kind of interesting here coming down the stretch to see if we can see some of that power shift, if the passing gets a little bit better on our end as we try to mount a comeback.
All right, Lewis serving in the net, up 4 there. I think is about to spark a little bit of a comeback.
That would be helpful. Maybe that side of the net is higher, and that's why they miss their serves. I don't know.
No, maybe not.
Hey, there's plenty of game left.
Yeah.
So they got 7 to get there. We got a few more, 11, but. And that's one of the things that I liked about this group. And so, in the first set you talked about not really calling timeouts a ton or giving them the opportunity to do so. And, even just looking out there, they don't look stressed to me. Lewis is playing a little better than we are. But we're not worried. We're not in a place where it looks kind of like it's concerning. And so you kind of just gonna ride it out and see if we can string together a couple of plays, see if we can get a couple of points here and there, feed off of a mistake that they make, and see if we can build upon it. So even at this point, we're down 3. It's not like it's out of hand. We're not playing great, and we're still we're right there.
It's a good serve there by Alyssa.
That was a good serve.
And the result, hit it out of bounds.
Yeah, Alyssa had a serve last year that could be really scary, but she was up there on some of the service errors. So she did tend to miss a lot, but she was very aggressive with it. And so in this situation, when she went back there, it was 18-15, and she's put in 2 bomb serves, cross court, got them out of system. 2 hitting errors on their part, probably in large part because she was able to put some pressure on their passers, and wouldn't you know it, they call timeout. And I think Laura Lee here in this situation does a nice job calling a timeout. I think she can kind of start to sense that the momentum's starting to swing back to our side. Both of those mistakes were not good mistakes on their part. So the hit out of bounds was not a full swing, and then the tip into the antenna. You don't want to. We don't tip the ball out of bounds. We don't want to tip the ball into the antenna. You don't want to tip the ball into the net. And so both of those mistakes on their end were very cautious mistakes. They weren't going for it. And so I think good timeout on her end to try and stop our run, stop our momentum. And I'm sure I'm kind of telling my girls in the timeout, hey, we're starting to pick up some of the aggressiveness. Great, this is what we want to do. Keep going after them, put the pressure on them. And if they beat us, they beat us. But if we're going after them and we can kind of start to get some of the momentum back on our side, it's going to go well for us.
I know this, like we talked about already, volleyball, big momentum game, especially this team seems to just thrive off of that, or that did during the 2019 season.
Off of the runs?
Yeah. Just the excitement level of everyone on the court, everyone on the bench.
Yeah, I think coaches, there's a little secret I'll let you guys in on. We secretly love bench celebrations, whether it's we're watching our match or watching somebody else's match. That stuff's hilarious. Picking each other up and doing goofy things. I mean, it's respectful. Let's be respectful, but
yeah.
It's fun, and you get energy from the bench onto the court, and you're participating, you're active, and so there's been some really funny things over the years that I've seen that some of them aren't always super appropriate, but that's a fun part of the game, and I like that camaraderie piece of it a little bit. Again, as long as we're staying relatively respectful, I think that's
more about celebrating
your
point, not your successes, not the other team's failures.
Most of the time, yeah. Big swing there by Stitch. To Katie Furlong, number 4.
And of course, a big ace there ties it up.
Big ace, yeah.
We're down 5 or 6 early in the set, and next thing you know, it's tied.
Don't count us out. We're going to keep fighting it from the start of the set to the finish. Great serve by Jenna Davis there.
She had that ace. She has another one here. It looked like the same spot.
Yeah, called the same serving zones, and so on the film here, when they kind of zoom into Mckenna, you can see the clipboard that's Hannah Nimrick. She is calling where to serve, so she's telling our players, we want you to serve it into this area, and Mckenna hits 2 in a row there, and 1 short of the turkey on the aces there, but really 2 plays in a row got them out of system. We got to 21st. That's a big deal. They matched it with our mistake, but at this point we're just playing a game to 5, and we like the chances because, like you said, we were down 5 or so, and again, man, even though we lost the last point by serving it out of bounds, it was a good aggressive miss. We served just a little bit long. We come right back, and Birdie takes one heck of a swing cross court. There was no hesitation on that. So really, I like where we're at right now from a team standpoint, where we're playing aggressively. Whether we win this point or not, I like the way we're playing the game.
Another good rally here.
A lot of big swings, a lot of good touches at the net by both teams. Really nice play there.
A long rally like that, this is how the first set ended too. No one scores a point, someone just ends up in the net.
It's kind of like the wah wah wah,
Yeah.
as it ends. But that's what it is. I mean, you got to follow the rules at 0-0. You got to follow the rules at 22-20, and the setter there was trying to make a good play. We had been struggling with defending the setter tip, and so it wasn't a bad play on their part. She just got a little excited and ended up being in the net. So again, we'll take the point. She was going to make a nice play, but they didn't execute, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. But they made this same switch here, so they've got their new setter in the 6-1 setter, local gal actually, from Franklin Central. But again, she's trying to set the ball over. She's not setting her hitters as much as she is trying to attack, and that time they ended up getting the ball back and being able to take a good swing. But the time before, as you saw, was in the net.
So it was 22-20. Now it's 22-22, and that was a big ace. That looked like it hit right on the corner.
Yeah, I would have preferred that we passed that ball, especially late. You want to take chances anyway from that type of chance. Go for that ball. That's one of our best passers with Birdie out there. Go ahead and pass that ball in system, and we'll take a swing, and we'll be in charge of whether we win that point or whether we don't. Judgment call on her part, so it's not necessarily a bad thing either. She thought it was going out, and it is very, I'm not over there, I can't see. It's very possible that ball was going out of bounds and started to drift back in and catch the line, and just ended up being a really, really good serve. And it was a good serve. That's a heck of a spot to place it 22-22. We made the wrong call, Birdie did, and we'll call timeout.
It looked like there was a delayed. The timeout call was a little delayed. Were you thinking about it, or?
I was going to call timeout the whole time, but there's some gamesmanship there where you don't have to call it right that second. You can extend the timeout by a good 10 or 15 seconds if you wait right up until the serve, and so that was kind of the thing there. Is just you can buy just a little bit of time. You can try to slow the momentum down, and so that was kind of what was going on there. At this point, yeah, it's 22-23. We want to go ahead and call the timeout, but we'll wait just a little bit, and then we'll call the timeout, and then we'll bring everybody in and
kind of like freezing the kicker.
Yeah, a little bit. There is a little bit of that. That's an all-conference player. I would be shocked if she comes out here and does anything but put a good ball in play. But yeah, there is that component of trying to freeze the server there. Yeah, she goes back there, fires a nice serve. Great swing by Birdie there, tooling off the block. Race to 2.
I feel like we're not quite in this situation last set, but close enough. Down 1, super late into the set. Chance to take the lead.
man, really nice play there.
Looked like they hung up there on that block to
Yeah,
stop the tip.
I don't know how she's been hanging out with David Blaine. I don't know. She just like hangs in the air there, and then the ball gets set, and she's still there, and then they tip it, and she's still there, and then she bats it back down for the block. So that was a really nice play. And I think so. In the timeouts here, when the opponent's calling the timeout, most of the timeout is actually spent with Julie, talking about what we think they're going to do. And so in that last play, the call was perfect. So Julie called the great defense. We sent a double block to go defend that slide. And we had two people in front of their one. And so, I don't know what they're going to do coming out of timeout. And I'm sure that if we had Julie in here, she would tell you exactly what they were going to do. But more likely than not, we'll have the right defense called to defend whatever it is they're going to do to try and beat us.
Chance to go up 2-0 on number 6 team in the country. You can't really ask for much better, can you?
No, we'll take
Other
that.
than finishing it off, but through the first 2 sets.
Yeah, we much better place to be up 2-0 than 1-1. But I like the resiliency that we saw in this second set where we were down and really weren't playing all that great. And I thought Lewis kind of started to hit his stride. And then we came back and we kind of just kept chipping away point for point. And so,
And of course, Birdie back at it.
Another great swing, tools off the block. Their defender wasn't quite ready for it. And like we just said, we're in a great spot. We're up 2-0 against the number 6 team in the country. Work's not done. We got plenty of volleyball left, but
Unfortunately, we already spoiled. It goes 5.
well, we know that. Sorry, fans. We know that it doesn't end after this next one, but there's still going to be lots of really good volleyball for the next couple of sets, despite the losses.
Sets 3 and 4 and 5 are coming up here soon. All exciting. Thanks, Jason, for joining me. We'll be back with a new guest here in a second. Welcome back to 2020 UIndy Virtual Homecoming. Today, we're looking back at the 2019 volleyball match against number 6 Lewis at the 5-set thriller. Head coach Jason Reed left me. Now we're here with senior Katie Furlong, who played a pretty big role in this match, like usual, in every match. 15 kills for you. Me and Jason talked about how we try to stop the other team's best. They try to stop our best. They stopped you a little bit, but not really. Kind of talk about what was your mindset going in? It's Lewis. You guys always show up for them.
Well, Lewis is a great team, and we know that they would have a great game plan. So I was prepared to have to kind of take a back seat that night and just do it the best that I could and just let the rest of my teammates take the lead, and they did a really great job.
Yeah, a lot of people did really good. Obviously a great match. That's why we're watching this one. I guess let's get into the third set. Hounds are up 2-0, and we've already spoiled it goes 5. So these next couple of sets don't end up in the win column, but still a close one, still a lot of positives. Obviously, Lewis is number 6 in the country. It's not going down easy. They're coming into our place. So the year before, you won another 5-setter over Lewis. It was Jason's 100th career win. What is it about Lewis, or just really good teams in general, that you guys just happen to come up for? Not obviously, you guys are really good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lewis is just always a great match for us, no matter the circumstances. But that's been a rivalry going all the way back to even before I was here. So we always like to give them a good match, and we know that they're a really great team, so we always show up a little bit extra for them.
So we talked a lot. The first set, there were probably 10, 12, 13 service errors between the teams. 29, I think, altogether for the night. 25, I'm sorry. Was that more about nerves on the serving end, or just being aggressive and
It could be.
it just
I
didn't
mean,
go the way?
they're a great all-around team, so they're really strong on serve receive, so we try to serve aggressive, but we do sometimes have to find the balance between serving aggressive and also our errors.
Good dig there by Jenna, just to get it over. I know you didn't serve this past year. You did a couple years ago. Rumor is that you're really keen on getting back to that, going full 6 rotations this coming year. What have you been working on to get back to that? So instead of you're coming in for 3 rotations.
Yeah, I would love to play all the way around this year. I've really just been working on my defense and my serve receive and just focusing on that in practice. We get a lot of practice at that, so when I'm in practice, I really just try to focus on my backcourt, and hopefully, I think it's getting better, so hopefully we'll be there.
Defense, obviously, always a big deal. Julie came in, though, a couple years ago and kind of revamped the system. A big culture shock for the entire team, the program. What was it like having someone like her come in and change how you think about volleyball defensively?
Julie was a huge deal for us. She came in and just changed everything about our defense and everything about our serve receive and pretty much everything about us. And, it was hard in the first couple months, like learning the system and implementing it, but her system has gotten us really far. We switched our records my freshman year and our sophomore year, just switching to the system, and now that we've had time to implement it and learn it, it's gotten a lot better. So it's really good to have that new system.
So you get up 2-0, and now in the third set you guys are up 4-1. Like how important was that for you? Did you get to talk about in the huddles between the second and third set about getting up early to try to put them away?
Well, against any team, if you're up 2-0, you definitely want to just try to keep your foot on the gas because any momentum they get could go into the next couple sets. So we know we needed to start fast. We need to start fast every single set. But we definitely talk about starting fast every single game, which is so important, getting that first early lead.
Me and Jason talked about, obviously, volleyball is a game of runs, string together points, limiting how many points the other team, especially a very good team like Lewis, scores in a row here. You guys are down 6 in the second set, came back, forced it, up 22-20 at one point too before winning it. But now you're up 5-2. What are you guys thinking on the court or anything? You're just sticking with the game plan?
Yeah, we just got to keep rolling with what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have to make sure we don't get too high because that's usually when it starts to go downhill. But yeah, we just really need to keep focusing on stringing together points and just 1 point at a time is normally what we're thinking when we're up by that much.
What was it like? Me and Jason talked about this, the amount of freshmen on the team last year, including redshirt freshmen. But you have Mckenna and Ncaa obviously playing large roles, and then you have the true freshmen, Kyra, Eads, and Jillian coming in, and they're over half the team on the court.
Our freshmen have so much talent. They came in and a lot of them came in the summer, and that helps for them to learn the new system. We tried to teach them that over the summer. And just them getting that head start also made them so dominant. Like, a lot of the times you can't even tell who the freshmen are on the court.
Yep.
And they really just did a great job. Jillian, Eads, all those guys did a really great job for us last season.
A free ball here. Another long rally. We had a lot of those already.
Lots of good defense on both sides.
And that is at least the second time now. I think that was Preuss on a back row attack, tries to go for that back corner. What are you guys thinking when you realize they're going to attack from the back row?
Well, we've practiced that actually a lot in practice, especially against them because they do like to run her in the back row. So we really just like to focus on getting neutral and just sitting back and just trying to dig it.
Up 7-4 now. I think it was last set. You guys were down 7-4, and Jason talked about just letting it go, no timeout yet. But early on, what are you guys ever thinking about? When is he going to call a timeout, or are you just playing point by point, and the whistle blows, you go to the bench?
Yeah, we like to play just point by point. Yeah. A lot of the times we like to think that we're going to be okay, we'll come out of it, but sometimes we do just need a break to breathe and just recuperate and get back to getting just one good pass and working on it. He's pretty good at calling timeouts when he knows that we need it.
He does the same thing every time.
Yep.
He gets up,
waits
stares
1
at the
point.
ref.
I can pretty much tell when he's going to call one now. He gets that look in his eye.
Well, we were talking about how when I came in 2017, he was he was jumping up and down with you guys. Julie comes in the next year, and now he's more tame.
Yes.
So I feel like it's always hard. It's hard to get a read on him, but when you're looking at him, he's just like stressed.
He just wants
you
to
can
stand
just
up.
tell. Yeah. Julie's got to hold him back.
I think that's some of his ways too of trying to keep us calm on the court too.
Yeah.
When he's calm, it makes the rest of us calm.
I mean, him just along with basically everyone else, the energy is pretty infectious.
Mm-hmm. The bench is a huge deal for us too.
Yeah, so talk about the bench now. For the players who might not see the floor often, how do you stay up on the bench cheering for your teammates?
We probably have the best bench, probably one of the best benches in the conference for sure. Just every single one of our teammates, whether they play or not, they really want the best for everyone. And when those girls that don't play that much get in, everyone is super excited, and everyone just wants the best for everyone. So I think that's just a big deal. Especially in practice, everyone's like together, and we all just want to win. So I think that's just one super easy way, especially against Lewis. We want to win every single time.
Yeah.
So it's easy to stay up on the bench for them. But our bench is fantastic, for sure.
So up 11-6, timeout. What are you guys thinking? Do you remember what Jason's telling you? Probably not. Just one of the 87 timeouts that were called.
Yeah, true. If we're any situation that we were up 5 points, we would probably saying like, keep on what we're doing. Don't do anything crazy. You can't score 5 points with one kill. So honestly, just going point by point and not letting them go on any long runs.
Something I found interesting about this match that I didn't realize at the time is there were 34 ties, 34 lead changes throughout the whole match.
Wow.
And it was the same every single set. 18 in the first set, 8, 6, 1, 1. That's just the consistency between, and I mean, all the scores were within the fourth set was 25-20, spoiler. But it's like every set was super close.
Mm-hmm.
Like how your freshman year, the team was 13-18. And now 2 years later, you get back to the NCAA tournament, you're beating Lewis for the second straight season. What's that mentality like, knowing came into not a great situation, now you're one of the best teams in the conference, if not the region and country?
Mm-hmm. It's the culture, the change in the culture. My freshman year, it was just a really tough year. In our sophomore year, I think we were just really tired of losing, and we know that we had talent, that we had to use the talent, which we weren't. And I think that it's just the competitiveness too. Everyone on our team is so competitive, and everyone wants to win, and everyone has the same goal. So I think that is just one of the biggest things that has forced the changes in our team over the past few years.
A lot of battles within, like, fighting for who's starting, who's going to play more. I mean, we're lucky enough to see Emma a lot in 2019, but we saw her so much because great right side Julia was out for most of the year. Mm-hmm. And it's something you hate to see, but we've seen so many violent swings, not this match, but Emma just goes up and takes the hack. It's got to be scary for the other team.
Oh, Emma is phenomenal. I get scared against her when I have to pass against her in practice. She is probably one of the best hitters I've ever played with against ever, and she just did such a great job for us. And it couldn't be easy for her too, playing over a senior that, I mean, I'm sure knowing her, she felt terrible about that. But yeah, it's really great having her, especially her coming back from an injury too. It's just a great story, honestly.
So 12-8 now. It's only 1 point. Still in the driver's seat, but it's still Lewis. Mm-hmm. Point by point in system, and then we were just talking about Emma, and she somehow only had 12 kills. I feel like we've seen all of them already. But 40, as a redshirt freshman, it's her first season, she was set 40 times this match. It just seems you have to trust, from a senior to a freshman, have to trust her that she's going to put it down a lot of the time.
Yes.
Like the same trust when Alyssa would set it to you and Taylor, obviously the upperclassmen, attackers at least.
Yeah, Alyssa always did a great job at choosing who to set, especially in certain situations. So if Taylor and I were on the outside and she saw the blockers moving, she would give it to Emma, and Emma would absolutely destroy any single block. So it's really just Alyssa, like, knowing where she is on the floor and where the other opponents are on the floor. And she always just did a really great job at that. So Emma getting 40 swings does not surprise me in the slightest.
Well, there were a handful of times this year I know she hit like 500, 550, 14, 16, 18 kills. I guess I'm trying to ask you to brag now a little bit. What's it like? Like, obviously the other team, their mindset's probably stopping you and Birdie on the outside, but you have to deal with Emma now. Mm-hmm. And even when you or Birdie wouldn't be doing very well, Grace Hegwood would come in, and it's just, what do you think it's like for other teams to scout and stop?
We just have so many options. It's probably a disaster, honestly. When you just know that every single person on the floor has the capability of putting it down against any person, like, you honestly just have to pick your poison. Like, who do you not want to beat us? And at that point, it's just trying to stay alive, I guess. I can't even imagine trying to scout us because we have so many offensive options.
Who was the main target on Lewis for you guys? Who did you not want to score?
In the past, it was, I think her name was Elizabeth Highland, I think, in the past. And then when she graduated, it was definitely Preuss was probably their best option. So we just had to focus on her. She's a great player, for sure.
Still got 17 kills, hit 129, but played 5 sets.
Yeah.
I mean,
and she plays all the way around, so.
Right. Lewis now only within a couple points now. This set, Lewis's second best hitting set of the match at 217, up from 034 and 146 from the first couple sets. What do you think that they did better, or maybe did you guys just do a little worse in this set?
This is when we really need to focus on stopping their runs. I think Lewis is a great team, and they go on runs a lot. And when they do that, we just need to start focusing on us and less on what they're doing. If I had to guess, I haven't really been watching that close, but I'm sure it was probably a service eve or defense thing, and we just kind of got lax towards the middle of the set.
So me and Jason talked about Alyssa a lot. You came in with her in 2017. Obviously, she was a sophomore, though, after she transferred. Talk about your relationship with her on and off the court from 2017 to when she graduated this past May.
Alyssa has probably been my favorite setter I've ever played with in all of my years of playing volleyball. She's a great player. She's a great person. I love her. She's probably one of my best friends, and you just never met someone who's so genuine in your entire life. She would share anything with you, which is questionable sometimes, but yeah, I just really love playing with her, and I love being friends with her, and she's just like a really great person.
Speaking of best friends, you and Taylor came in together. I think you two are pretty close, aren't you?
Yeah, we've been roommates ever since our first year here. Being in the same position and the same class, we just have gotten really close over the past 3.5, 4 years. And she's a great person to go through all this with because she works really hard and she's competitive and she has a lot of the same qualities as me. So I think that's why we've become so close. And also we spend literally every second of our lives together. So
both all conference outsides. She finally got her recognition this past year. How happy were you for her to
She so deserves it. She's been so not given the credit that she deserves over the past 2 years. She's a great outside, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am without her. So I was so happy for her when she got that. She deserves it.
Speaking of which, she's serving. Look like a good serve to get him out of system.
Mm-hmm. She's pretty much good at everything, so.
He just put some real good swings on the ball. I said early on that she ended up having 10 kills, 7 in the first set.
Wow.
She didn't make a ton of errors, though. What kind of adjustments do you think Lewis was making against her specifically?
Well, she's really good on the one, and I'm sure they were probably just taking away her best shot on the one. She's a great, great attacker. But she's a freshman, so obviously it's going to be harder for her to adjust, and especially in a big game like this. So I'm sure they just made more adjustments on her towards the end of the match. But her not making errors is a big deal too. taking good swings and getting them out of system.
No, she's always fun to watch because of how she gets excited.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems kind of tamed. Not tamed, but controlled.
Controlled excitement.
But she has big swings, and then she has a big block, and she's not the tallest. She doesn't look the tallest out there, but she puts herself in great position.
Yes, and even this fall, and when we've been practicing, she's gotten so much better. Her vertical has improved so much. Her hitting, sometimes in practice, I'm like, wow, Eads, that was just like crazy, like 8-foot line swings. But yeah, she keeps getting better, and I love playing with her because she does get super excited, and her energy levels are always through the roof. So she's really fun to play with.
What's it like? Four middles on the team. Hupp is the oldest as a junior. What 2 sophomores now with Kyra and Eads, and then obviously a freshman middle coming in. How it's young. How much faith and trust do you have in those players to be along for the ride, to do their job, and you don't have to worry about it just because they're young?
Well, they are young, but I see they do have a lot of experience. I mean, Hupp and Eads and Kyra have all played their fair share of sets, and they've all had time to adjust to the system, and I would trust any of them to be in there. And Hannah's been doing a great job, too, in practice, Hannah Sabotin. So I would trust any 4 of them to get the job done, for sure.
So tied 16-16, they just gave you a free ball here, trying to put them away for good, and of course they said it to you. What is your mindset? I already know the answer to this. Do you want the ball or do you not want the ball?
Oh, yeah, I definitely want the ball, for sure. Especially in a good situation like that when I can run different routes. And the middle blockers always do a great job, too, of pulling blockers. Because, as we've mentioned, we have so many options that they just don't know who to stay with.
And of course, great passing from the back row. It's any combination of Taylor, McKenna, Jenna, Jillian, Maddie when she comes in. Obviously, we'll see later. She has a big dig late.
Yeah, Maddie has a tough job, too, with that. Coming in to serve and being expected to stick the pass every time, and she does a great job.
She didn't have a service error until the very last match of the season, which most of the matches she was coming in relief, per se. And
yeah, that's huge. She definitely does her job when we need her to.
Lewis finally takes the lead. You guys were winning the whole time. What are you thinking on the other side of the net right now?
Right now, it's probably not too big of a deal for us. We just need to come back. You said Emma Jones and she gets killed, but
they serve it to you. Not going to call it a great pass, but it did the job.
Listen, that's all we can hope for is that it does the job.
Do you feel that other teams served it to you when they could?
Yes, for sure. I definitely.
And how do you take that?
I mean, obviously it's a little hurt to the ego, but I know why they're doing it. Like, I barely get any reps in a situation like this, so they would obviously serve the person who's not been warm, and also we have so many great passers that.
How much does it fuel your want to become a better passer, especially with coming into this year? You said you want to play all the way around.
A lot. It feels really good when people don't serve at you, so I want that to happen more next year.
Good recovery. Down 18-17. Lewis took the lead, now 3 straight points here. You know, Lewis holding on to when to use that final timeout. But if always, like we already said, 25 service errors is obviously a lot, but it always just feels like it's even more, especially in the big moments.
Especially when it's late in the set.
So 2019, not a great pass there, but Kyra put it over a little bit, and then just a great hit. And you saw McKenna right there just be like, can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, there's some swings that are just.
Let's talk about McKenna. McKenna just extremely solid back there. When she plays, she can play out of her mind.
Very consistent.
Sometimes. Just did a great job. I thought she was hurt a lot of 2018. Comes in, takes over the jersey. And I think it was basically all but only a couple sets. I mean, even in this match, she had 21 digs. She's not being hit at a lot.
Yeah, no.
And she's still putting Alyssa in a great position to put you in a great position.
Yeah, she's a great defensive player, serve receive. She's really good at everything back there. She was really solid for us all last year, and you can pretty much, they don't serve at her because why would you?
Right. Another leader, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Even as a freshman.
A big voice, for sure. Yeah, she was really great for us last year.
21-20, they have that little jump top spin serve. It looks a lot harder to receive and pass.
Yeah.
How hard is it harder, or how much harder is it than just a normal serve?
Honestly, for the most part, top spin serves are easier unless they're coming at really high speeds. So most of the time, that's an easier pass for someone who's more experienced.
Okay.
But something that drops really fast is normally pretty tough too.
Another timeout. What's going through your guys' head? You had it. You were winning most of the time. Now Lewis is up.
Probably what we were talking about is just staying calm, focusing on us, doing what we normally do, keeping with the system, keeping up with the blocking calls, and then just going point by point and trying to get right back in there with them.
I saw this the first couple sets. You guys were down 24-23, 23-22. Rattle off 3 straight points. What about the team as a whole, or maybe it's something Julie or Jason's saying, that you guys just stay cool and calm?
It's just putting the trust in the process. We've seen it work. It works. We've just like putting trust and knowing that we're going to be in the right spots and they're going to do what they normally do according to their tendencies, and just putting trust in that it's going to happen the way that it's supposed to happen.
So now we talked about Eads, Emma. We talked about a lot of people. Someone we haven't really mentioned is Kyra, who only had 4 kills. She got set a decent amount. She had the very first kill of the match. Had 4 blocks, though. Okay. What is her role here? She's not getting up the numbers, but how is she on the court right now, meshing with the team?
Right now, like at this very...
Yeah. Like, she's not putting up the numbers, but what is she doing? Like, what intangibles that she's still providing to the team?
She's just very consistent. She, for the most part, always does what she's supposed to do. She is probably one of the better, like, closers when we need to close a block, because she's fast and she reads the court well.
Pretty level-headed.
Yes, very level-headed, which is something that is good to have on the court, too, when we're kind of up and down. So having her on the court is just really, it's very calming, to be honest, because she never really gets too excited. She never gets too low, and she always usually does what we need her to do.
Oh, her smile after she gets a big kill is something to see, because it happens a lot, but seeing her with emotion is great. She has that dry sense of humor, and now she's just smirking because she knew she did something well.
Probably one of the funniest people I've ever met, to be honest.
Definitely the funniest on the team.
Oh, well. Probably one of them.
So it tends to be where every time a DS or a libero has to set, it's going over to the right side. What's the thought process in that?
Honestly, it's just easier than to back set to the outside. So it just pretty much guarantees a good ball, high ball to Emma, which is always a good bet, which is a bet I would take. Yeah. For sure.
Keep it alive down up point.
It was a great dig. That was another thing about Alyssa, too. Her defense has just got so much better.
I mean, I remember a couple years ago it wasn't good, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's always in the right spot now, and obviously she'll be the first to tell you it's because of the system. She hasn't gotten better. She's just in the right spot now, which I guess is half the defense.
Yes.
But she's definitely, obviously, we're a bias, but I would have to say she was the best setter the last couple years in the GLVC all around, because setting, blocking, passing-wise.
Oh, for sure. She could do it all. Consistently, she just was in the right spot and was there on defense and was always doing everything right. Big rule follower, Alyssa is, so it doesn't surprise me that she was always in the right spot.
So Lewis grabs a close third set. We're going to be back right after this. Katie's coming back too. Welcome back to UIndy 2020 Virtual Homecoming. Today we're looking back at last season's volleyball match against number 6 Lewis. UIndy's up 2-1. We're going to the 4th set now with senior Katie Furlong. Let's just get back into it now then. So you're up 2-1. You were up 2-0. What, I feel like I keep asking this, but I feel like it bears asking again. What is the mindset going in now? Now you're up 2-1 instead of 2-0. Is it a different mindset than 2-0, or what's going through your head?
It's probably about the same. We really just want to put them away, I'm sure, is what we were talking about. Just trying to go to 4. It's tough knowing that we could have had them in 3, but...
Especially it's a Friday night.
Yeah.
You have another match tomorrow.
Right.
You played on Tuesday.
Yeah, this was a big stretch for us.
Yeah.
Probably our toughest stretch of the whole season.
Bellarmine, that's where you went on Tuesday night, 3 days before, swept them, took care of business there. Almost had a chance to sweep Lewis before you play a scrappy Springfield team on
Right.
Saturday.
Yeah. Long week, for sure. But a really, really good week for us. A really good confidence-building week.
Yeah,
Because wasn't the weekend before that Truman, Quincy?
I think so.
Yeah, so that was a big week for us, for sure, to come out with 3 wins that week.
Yeah, the Quincy Truman weekend wasn't a good one. It was a good bounce back week, though. 3
Yes.
very good teams in Bellarmine, Lewis, and Springfield, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those teams made the GLVC tournament. Big swing there to tie it up early. I think that was from Taylor. I don't know.
Emma Jones.
Emma. Okay. No. Yeah. Emma. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she...
The trickery got me too. Like Lewis didn't even put up a blocker.
That is the goal.
That's probably my favorite play. I think I told Julie this a couple years ago too.
Mm-hmm.
The whomever just comes up through the middle because no one ever sees her.
No, there's usually on their best shot 1 blocker, for sure, on that. So, especially Emma Jones does a great job on that too, and she can run really quick stuff, but she's so tall and she jumps so well that it's just virtually impossible to stop that.
So only 1 tie in this set. I think we just saw it at 1-1.
Yeah.
But we talked about right before we started recording, this 4th set is not a great set overall, but still almost had a chance to put them away. And it's a team like Lewis, just like most teams in the GLVC. So let's talk about the GLVC. You got swept by Truman the week before, lost in 4 to Quincy the weekend before. How hard is it, though, to go to those teams? Like teams that finished lower part of the conference, but you still have struggle with them.
Yeah, the tough part about this conference is that everyone in the conference is very competitive, and people like to get up for us. But good teams like us, teams like that like to play against us because they're the underdog. Like they have nothing to lose, and especially going on the road like that, obviously is no excuse, but it's definitely harder to play teams like that on the road.
Well, it's just like I said a couple minutes ago, you guys beat Bellarmine, swept them at Bellarmine 3 days prior, almost swept Lewis, but beat them in 5, and then the very next day, Bellarmine swept Lewis. So just playing on the road in general in this league doesn't seem fun. I know it's not fun for the people who aren't playing.
Oh, for sure, no. And I can't even imagine coming in and playing in Ruth Lilly. It's just a whole different experience than any of the other gyms
Especially
in our
in
conference.
September when it's
90
not
degrees.
It's not cool in there.
Yeah. Every other team in our conference has air conditioning, I'm pretty sure. So it's definitely a culture shock to them. It's a good home court advantage situation for us because we practice in it every day. And then when we go to other teams, it's just nice to have the air conditioning luxury.
Be able to breathe.
Yeah. Our conference is very tough, though. All the teams in it are very, very good. So you always have to be on your game whenever you go anywhere, whenever anybody comes to you.
How much does not only playing in Ruth Lilly for at least half your matches of the year, but you guys have gone to 5 a lot the last few years. How much does that prepare you for a match against a very good team like Lewis? Just for the longevity of what's probably everyone's expecting this match to go 5.
Right, of course. I really just think it's our preparation and just being in it every day and grinding every day and just knowing that. And we love 5 sets because we're probably one of the best conditioned teams too, and we focus on that a lot in weights and in practice and everything. So playing Ruth Lilly is definitely a good starting point to being ready for those long matches.
Well, earlier in the 2019 season, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but you guys ran off a streak of 5-set wins in a row, and then it was on the first day of the invite, you came back to beat St. Leo in 5, and then after the fourth set against Gannon in the second match of the day. You guys were just dead.
It is a long day.
Yeah.
Whenever you play 2 matches in one day is a long
Especially
day.
early on when you're still figuring out your groove.
Yeah, for sure.
As
And
Julie likes to say, you only win matches early based on serve receive.
serve receive is probably the biggest part of the game.
Big swing there from Eads, the first kill in a while for her. We were talking about serving earlier. She didn't have the greatest serving day, numbers-wise. Had 5 service errors, no aces. But I would say she was probably the most improved server last year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like Maddie would always come in late, even late in the year. But Eads really put it together. She had a strong serve, like
Yeah.
Alyssa.
Yeah, she does. She's a good server. It's just the consistency piece that she's working on right now, and it's getting better for sure. It's also nice to have Maddie back there too, when you can have another defender in the back row. It's a big deal.
Yeah, so is it the mindset when you have a middle serving against you?
It's to aim at them in the backcourt.
Yeah.
For sure. That's always the middle. That's always the
And if
the
they
goal.
dig it, oh well.
Yeah. It's always middle back row every time. So it's a good opportunity for us to try to capitalize on that and get the ball back.
Look like a birdie's push there. She's known for that, isn't she?
Yep, she's very good at
I know
that.
she's caused some controversy in the past.
Yeah,
couple
she likes to
years.
hold on to it sometimes. That's a great shot though, and her being undersized too. She has a lot of shots, and that's good for her.
What do you think they're talking about now? We have a referee official timeout.
I don't know.
What are you guys talking about? When you're like, I don't know what's going on. Do we just talk to each other? What a set though
Listen,
by you.
I used to set back in the old days.
I feel like this is a good segue as you came in originally as a setter, kind of.
Yeah, that's actually a funny story. I thought I was too short to be a hitter in college, so I kind of tried to transition into more of a setter role. And I came in and practiced with the team, and I was setting, and Jason was like, "Can you do anything else?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I kind of hit sometimes." I'm a hitter. I just am trying to pretend to be a setter.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, so you're a hitter then?" After we had a few swings, so it was good. I'm glad I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, couple-time all-conference, all-district hitter. It worked out.
It did.
I can't imagine you being the setter on the team.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have been a setter on the team.
You played setter at Toledo in the exhibition.
Because
You and Jillian.
Alyssa was hurt.
Yeah.
It's a special circumstance.
You didn't want to rack up a triple-double or anything?
Listen, setting is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah. Well, after watching you, it looks pretty hard.
Wow.
That's not an insult. It's just we've been so used to Alyssa the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And obviously we're used to you on the outside hitting the ball.
Yeah, not
Knocking.
distributing.
Right. Which is probably better for everyone. We just let the setters do the setting.
Yeah, we'll just let them handle that, and then we'll handle everything else.
So you're down early in the fourth here. No mindset change.
Nope.
You guys tired?
No, probably not.
Yeah. Like we just talked about most conditioned team.
Yeah. Those 3-set matches really don't have. I mean, after a 3-set match, you could go longer.
Are you guys thinking at all about, or maybe some players, like you already played on Tuesday, you have another match tomorrow. Are you guys thinking about you want to finish it off now because you don't want to be tired tomorrow?
Absolutely. And I'm sure that was probably a talking point too. Like, listen, we have another big match tomorrow, so if we can get this over with and we can put them away, then we'll be better off for our match tomorrow.
Right.
But you don't really like to look to the next day. You always
Right.
want to take care of business that day.
Yeah.
And then figure out tomorrow after the match.
Especially with how much energy that everyone,
It takes.
Jason talks about it, especially with Taylor, how much energy she uses and to jump as high as she does. Playing a 5-setter the night before and another good team comes in isn't good.
Ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, being one of the only people to play all the time is probably very tiring, and I know that she gives everything she has, so I would imagine that games like these are probably very hard on her. So I think that's why Jason likes to give her breaks when he can, because she uses a lot of energy.
Yeah.
for sure.
And like we alluded to earlier, Grace is a pretty solid option coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of great options in every position, which is good. Keeps the competitiveness there, and nobody gets comfortable, so that's good.
Yeah. Mckenna with an ace there after the timeout. She had a few of those during this match. Oh, I'm sorry, Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Mckenna jumping up and down and wearing a different jersey. It gets confusing. But pure Lewis fashion is rebounding
Yeah.
with a point.
Very good at stopping runs. That's definitely a team that is good at that.
They were number one team in the region for a reason.
Mm-hmm. They're just so solid. They just have good girls in every position, and they have options for girls who aren't playing well, and they're just a very solid team.
So we haven't talked at all about their middle, Ava Venema. She was an all-region middle. She's pretty good. Your guys, obviously, Julie's planning on stopping her.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going up, are you even thinking about hitting it through her hands? Or does it matter who's going up to try to block you, or are you just trying to put the ball where you want it?
Honestly,
no matter who's on the other side.
In the moment, I just am trying to see if there are any openings in the block, and if I just see these giant hands in front of me, I'm going to try to tip it. Sometimes I don't always see the hands, but yeah, I feel like I don't really think about the opponent as much as when I'm swinging as what I see when I'm about to swing.
Sure. So I just noticed, and it reminds me, Lewis changed liberos after the first two sets. Did you guys notice that in real time on the court?
Yeah, actually, that was kind of a big deal for us because their libero is really talented, and us causing them to make changes is a big deal for sure, especially in a team as solid as them. So we kind of made a big deal out of that.
Well, I know the year before, when you guys beat them in 5, they made a setter change from their All-American setter
That
to
was a
someone
big
else.
deal. I remember that. I even remember that. But yeah, whenever they have to pull one of their solid players, it's always kind of a win.
Yeah.
We know we're doing it right.
It didn't look great for Emma there. Great swing, but the ball came right back at her face.
Yeah, that'll happen. It happens to the best of us.
Right. Especially when you swing so violently.
Yeah.
As she does. Is it just a big, we keep talking about, as she looks like she was huffing and puffing, another big swing from Taylor there. She ended up leading the team in kills. I think she had 18. She's hit 209. I remember 2 years ago, too, she was the team leader in kills.
Against Lewis?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the team always plays up for her, but we all know that the first goal is to stop you. Do you think she kind of takes that to heart and says, no, I'm going to take control? Because she knows she's getting the ball.
Yeah.
A lot more.
I think that when we play Lewis, she knows that she has to step up because they're going to try to really stop. Well, they're going to try to stop everyone, but she loves playing against Lewis.
I'm
so.
just trying to force you to brag on yourself.
Well, I don't know.
She was set almost 50 times for this match. Seems like she shows up for big games.
She does. She's a big player, and big players
of
show up for big games.
Right.
And I think she likes to take it into her. She likes to find it in herself to take control when she knows that other people won't be able to. And she does a great job of stepping up when we need her to.
17-10. It was just 17-9. It just happens.
It does.
Just like me and Jason talked about. Sometimes it just, you put the score in your pocket and you just kind of move on. Mm-hmm. Or you guys probably might not be thinking that.
Yeah, no, right now
you don't want to lose. You're still trying to try to win this.
Yeah, right now we're probably pretty upset, to be honest, about the score. But it's especially in a game like this when the score could be, you could beat a team 25-10 and then they could beat you the next 3 sets.
Right.
So you really can't dwell on the score of the sets.
Or just like me and Jason briefly talked about the Hillsdale Ncaa regional game of you guys smoked them the first set, they smoked you the third or fourth. It was still one of
the best matches.
Jason wanted to do that game if we hadn't lost. Like he still kind of wanted to talk about that game, and because he said multiple times that was the best volleyball he thinks you guys played all year.
Oh, it is for sure. That is definitely the best game we've played all year, even though it didn't turn out the way that we it's just some of the best volleyball that
Yeah,
we've.
well, that's what happens when going up against. That was another top 10 team.
We were very excited to play them.
Over the last couple of years, winning record over ranked teams is pretty impressive. That's why we were talking about the 2018 team, how right on the cusp of the NCAA tournament, you guys won 4 or 5 matches against ranked opponents that year.
Yep. We'd like to get up for big teams.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Because we know that we're right up there with them.
Yeah. That was virtually the same squad too. I mean, some freshmen came in, played this year. You lost Katie Voelz and Lauren Koopman. Katie's going to be coming in and talk about the 5th set here in a second. What was it like what was their leadership like to prepare you guys to lead 2019 team?
I think they both showed how leaders should act. They're both very good examples of how we should be on and off the court, and especially Katie. Katie had just this like infectious leader quality that I haven't seen ever. So they were really good teachers for us, and I think that Alyssa stepped up in that role, and other people stepped up in that role, and now other people are stepping up because they've seen how they were supposed to act. So it's big to have good leaders like that to show how you're supposed to act on the court.
We're here in the 4th set we've already spoiled 5-set thriller with Lewis. It's always interesting with them. Even a couple years ago, you beat them in 5 for Jason's 100th win. A couple weeks later, you went to Lewis. You lost in 4. That was a great match too. It's like me and Jason talked about how Lewis is one of those teams that's always try to get themselves up. They're yelling at each other, like motivating each other. Are you guys even worried about anything they're doing on the other side, or are you just worried about you?
We like to just focus on us and what we're supposed to do. It's easy to get caught up in how the other team's acting, especially if Lewis is known for being very, how do I put this nicely? Loud, yes. And it's really easy to focus on that and be like, oh my gosh, them. But it's good to focus on us and just do what we're supposed to do and focus on what Julie's telling us to do and what Jason's telling us to do. And
well, it's easy to dislike the team that seems to always be great.
Of course, yes. This is why we love
which
beating
tends to be
Lewis.
the goal for you guys, though, right?
Yes, especially teams with target. Lewis is a team that everyone wants to beat.
Yeah.
Just because they're so good, which is a compliment.
I mean, they've been good. Even when I was a student here, they were one of the best teams. Obviously, we were one of the best teams. It was always us and Lewis. And now things are back to normal after a couple of years where they weren't. That's just nice to see.
Yes, it's good to be back up there with them.
So 18-14, Eads we talked about. Well, I thought she got out of her errors out of the way, but
She likes to be aggressive, that's for sure.
that's what you'd rather see that.
You'd also rather see out of bounds than in the net. So
Right.
she's going for it.
Talk about violent swings. Kyra kind of has more of a short arm, but that thing, I don't know, it looks just as hard.
Oh, yeah.
As Emma's and Taylor's and anybody's swing on it, honestly.
Yeah, our middles and everyone is so good on offense. In practice, you just like sit there and you're like, wow, there's not a single person on this team who can't swing as hard as they can and get a kill. So
How much of practice, obviously I've seen some practices, is focused on just the offense? Seems like most of the practice is Julie taking control of the defense.
to be honest, we actually don't practice offense that much. We work on the middles work on connections a lot because
Sure.
they run a lot of different routes and like slides and ones and all that stuff. But for us, the most part, it's just high balls to the outside and just swing as hard as you can. So we don't really work on it that much because we like to focus on our serve receive and our defense, which you can't hit without that. So
Right.
if we're going through a rough stretch of hitting and people aren't hitting that well, then we'll work on it. But for the most part, the connection's always sort of been there since Alyssa's been there for a while.
So now Alyssa's gone. Don't want to look ahead, especially because we're watching this great match. You got a freshman setter, and then, of course, Alex. Ncaa is hopefully healthy now this year. but still she hasn't played
Right.
really. A couple years ago, a little bit. How different is, especially from an experienced leader setter and Melissa moving on to a couple people a newcomer and Alex.
It was hard to lose Alyssa at first, that's for sure. But in practice, Alex and Natalie have been doing such a great job. It's so good to see Alex healthy, and I haven't seen her be like that since I've been here. So it's good to see her get back to where she was, and she's been doing a really great job in practice, and her sets are great. So we're definitely going to be right back up to where we were with Alyssa. That's really good. It's just, honestly,
It's a different time.
It is, and it's just so nice to see her healthy.
Of course. And just like her and Emma, just they came in, they just dealing with a lot of health issues, and it's rooting for them as people. 1918, it was 17-9 just a little bit ago.
Focusing on the runs.
In classic Greyhound fashion, coming back. Always heart attack hounds.
We like to keep it interesting, that's for sure.
Good dig there by Mckenna to keep it in system, but of course Lewis isn't going to give it to you guys that easy.
Nope.
So was that just a perfectly spotted ball there, or was there a little breakdown on the defense?
To be honest, it could have been either.
I know when the ball, it's getting blocked, staying on the same side.
Yeah.
It might be easy to lose track of where you're supposed to be on the floor.
Yeah, the block might have taken the wrong part of the court, or the middle back could have shifted the wrong way. Stuff like that happens.
That just like me and Jason talked about, after a long rally, it always seems like someone ends up at the net, and that's how you get the point.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose yourself, I feel like sometimes.
It is.
As a non-player, I guess. Sometimes
Yeah.
I lose myself when I'm just there.
There's a
sitting
lot
there.
going on, so it's definitely easy you can make one mistake and it'd just be the end of the rally. So one small.
That's why you played at 25. That's why it's a long match. That's why you guys always went to 5, I think. More reps is what Julie
Yes.
always says. She
That-
likes the 5 setters.
She does. She's like, oh, we just get more.
She's crazy.
So many more reps.
Do you like the 5 setters?
I do, actually.
Oh,
It's very exciting.
okay. You can tell me the real answer off of camera.
Okay.
But extremely stressful
Oh.
even for you guys, or you guys even
No,
more?
actually, probably
You're just
just
out
for
there
a
playing.
watcher. For a
Yeah.
watcher, it's probably definitely more
watcher.
stressful. Yeah,
Oh, a fan,
a fan.
a viewer.
Yeah, a viewer is better, I guess.
How many people do you think were watching this? It wasn't homecoming last year, but it was still Lewis. Do you think, how many people are tuning in? How many people are just there?
Are there in Ruth Lilly? I honestly have no idea. I have no gauge of how many people are on our sports network. I know my
I'm
parents.
just asking
My
a
parents
guess.
watch it. I know that when they're not there.
Was your dad not there for this one?
Oh, my dad is probably here actually. My dad comes to a lot.
I feel like last year, early in the year, you said your dad wasn't going to be able to make that many, and I still think I saw him every time, every trip and every home game.
Well, my sister started playing varsity volleyball at home, so it was hard for him to get away from that. But he definitely makes the effort, and my mom gets mad too that she can't come because my dad always just takes it and is like, okay, I'm going to Indy, and then doesn't even give her the chance. So
How far of a drive is it? From Old Galena.
From Galena, it is about 6 hours, but my dad
Wow.
can make it in like 5:15.
Oh. Well, I hope no law enforcement.
Oh
person
yeah,
watches this then.
please don't pull him over. He would be upset about that. Yeah, my parents are all very supportive, and when my mom can't be there and when she's home with my sisters, then I know she's watching it online. So I think there's a couple people from Galena who might tune in every once in a while.
How big is Galena? How small is Galena?
Well, the town is popular.
And where is Galena?
Galena is a quaint town in northwestern Illinois. It's right on the border of Iowa and Wisconsin. And the population of Galena is 3,000.
Wow.
Yep, and I graduated with 51 in my graduating class.
You're probably a big star over there.
Listen, sports are a big deal because there's not much else to do.
Right.
So, yeah, I loved going to school there. It was a great town, very supportive.
Well, 24-19. Now you're just hoping to string together some points.
Oh, for sure. Especially when not when we know, when it's in their favor. We like to try to go on a run to build momentum going into the next set.
Sure.
So that's probably definitely what we're trying to do here.
Great serve, too. Up 5, they could have just floated it in there. And then, of course, I don't know, it's just great swings altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Good recovery there by... I feel like the setter runs around an awful lot.
Yeah, they have a really hard job. This is why we like to focus on our serve receives. She doesn't have to run around as much. In defense, too. But Alyssa did a great job at getting to every single ball. Not many balls dropped in her watch, so that's a big deal in a setter, to have someone who is hungry for the ball and wants it all the time.
Another solid rally with another violent swing from Ncaa. Lewis just takes it in stride. It's tough. It's got to be tough for the setter, or just in general, when that ball's super tight at the net.
It is.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in their back row and they can't do much about it.
Right. All right, well, Katie, thanks for joining us, and sucks that you got 2 losing sets, but awesome nonetheless. We'll be right back in a minute. Welcome back to the 2020 UIndy virtual homecoming today. We're coming into the 5th set of the volleyball match against number 6 Lewis from this past season. Head coach Jason Reed, Katie Furlong already joined us. For the 5th set, we get alumni Katie Voelz, who actually called the game. Come back. She graduated in 2019.
Yep.
Came back to call this exciting 5-set thriller. Lucky for you, you actually get to talk about a winning set.
Yes, thank goodness. And the 5th set. That's so exciting.
Right, exactly. So I guess let's get right into it.
Okay, let's do it.
So you graduated in 2019.
Yep.
What made you want to come back and call this game?
Well, I think Jason originally asked me to do it, and I was like, I would love to help out UIndy Volleyball. UIndy Volleyball helped me so much.
Right.
Time to give back a little bit. But I showed up, had no idea I was going to have to be on camera. So I was like trying to frantically do my makeup and my hair beforehand. And then I was alone during it. So I was like, I've never done this before, so let's just see how it goes. But I could talk about volleyball forever. So
Yeah. I think we had some positive reviews. And you came back for senior day.
Oh, yes, I did. We did it together.
Right.
Against
Jury.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun.
So Hounds are up 2-0 out first 2 sets.
Okay.
Lose the next 2. As a former player, what is your mindset going into the 5th set? Especially when Lewis just grabs the first point of the 5th.
So as a volleyball player, I think you would always if it's going to go to 5 sets, you want it to be win, loss, win, loss. So you're neck and neck.
Yeah.
But when you win 2 and then you lose 2, trying to come back and get that 5th set is never easy. So you have to change your mindset, and you have to actively think about changing your mindset. When you're down 0-2 going into the 5th set, because that's it. The game's over no matter what. So that's tough to come back from.
So we all know you're a high energy type of person. You come in and we can't hear what you're saying now, but do you remember how you were feeling at this moment?
My heart was racing, and I know that we have UIndy fans and we have Lewis fans, so I'm trying not to be too biased, but I really want UIndy to win this game.
Of course.
So yeah, I remember, and it was hot in there. I think I was wearing a shirt really similar to this, and I was probably sweating through it. It was high intensity, high stress.
Big swing from Katie Furlong, obviously the all-region, 2-time all-region player.
Yeah.
You played with her for a couple years.
Yes.
Talk about how freshman year she didn't really play that much,
Uh-huh.
and then she comes in her next 2 years as an all-conference player.
She is just a powerhouse, I think is the way to describe her. I specifically, when I was playing with her, it took the pressure off knowing that we could set the ball to Katie, and even if there is a two-person seal block, she can probably power through it and get a kill when she needs to get a kill. And that was a clutch kill right there.
Yep. So Maddie comes in.
Yeah.
Maddie Rosenberger. That was primarily her role.
Yeah.
For all of last season, and she did a heck of a job doing it. How stressful is it? Have you ever just come in randomly in the 5th set and be like, all right, serve the ball?
Yeah. Well, that's hard because you're cold coming off the bench. And then Lewis, just because they're the way they are definitely going to call her out for that and cheer against her and everything. So to come in and And just her demeanor. I never played with her. I remember her coming on our visit, but her demeanor is just so chill, which is kind of something you need on the court in a fifth set. She's going to come in, she's going to do her job. She's not too high, she's not too low, but you love a player like that.
She did her job well. That's 4 points in a row now.
Yeah. And just a very consistent serve.
And just a big block there by a freshman, and then, of course, Katie.
Yeah.
Kyra had 4 blocks on the day.
And blocks, especially at this point in the game, getting a big block like that, it really screws with the other team's head.
Yeah.
It's not like getting a net call or a double or a missed serve, like that kind of sucks.
Maybe they start becoming hesitant.
Yeah, but then a big block like that,
Right.
Yeah, now they start to get nervous, which you love to see that.
And me and Katie talked about how Kyra didn't have the biggest numbers during the game. She had 4 kills, 4 total blocks. But obviously a big block there, and any block in the fifth set's big.
Oh, yeah. And in the game of volleyball, it just changes so much.
Right.
What's the word I'm looking for?
The flow?
Momentum. Yeah. It just can change like that, one play.
Yep. Good dig there by Jillian. Another freshman.
Yes.
We've already talked about several times today about the amount of freshmen that contributed to this
Oh,
team's
yeah.
success.
And I never played with them, but
Right.
watching them is just so much fun. And they all get along so well.
Well, it's easy when you have 2 freshmen back there with Mckenna and Jillian. Then you throw in senior Jenna Davis. It's a pretty solid back line
For
back
sure.
there. Now, as a middle yourself, or you were a middle.
I was a middle.
What's it like as we have Eads and Kyra as the 2 middles for this match? 2 freshmen. What's that like? Just you played right away.
Yep. College volleyball is just a lot different than high school volleyball. So anyone on a college team was going to be the best at the high school that they were at. And then you come in again, bottom of the barrel, freshman, and playing. It's a hard adjustment. But I remember being so impressed with Elizabeth Eads during this game.
Yeah.
I think after
7 kills in the first set.
Yes. I was rewatching it yesterday, and I was listening to myself read her stats, and it was, like 7 kills, 1 error or something.
Yep.
Insane. Like hitting a 600, which is typically where you want to see your middles hitting.
Mm-hmm. But as a freshman and not even halfway through the freshman season yet against the best team the team's played this year. So it's 7-4. The goal is to be the first 8, isn't it?
Yes, because that's halfway point, and you switch sides.
Right.
So what we always said was first to 5, first to 8, and then the rest of the game will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be up at that switch, that's probably the best thing you can do for yourself if you're trying to win.
Another one of the several great rallies that just ends in an air. So 8-4 now.
Yeah.
This is driver's seat because you're less than halfway to.
And they have a
15.
good lead. Yeah.
Right. Now, what's it like when you just change sides? I mean, there's no break. You just go right to the other side.
You just got to get right on the court. Yeah.
Is there any difference whatsoever?
If you're up, it feels great.
Sure.
And then I feel like I was always like on the bench when you're switching. So then you get to like walk by your teammates who are on the court and like really get in their face for that like split second. And I think that's the most fun. I think I had more fun on the bench than I did on the court.
I know Jason and Katie both said that the team has Katie thinks it's the best bench in the conference.
Ours?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it did not start out that way. We really we started at 0 and we really ramped it up, but it makes the game so much more fun.
Well, it seems like it's got to take some mental strength, especially if you never see the floor, you're always on the bench, or if you're playing and you're not playing well and you get sent to the bench.
Yeah.
Like you just can't sit there and mope. You got to cheer on your team.
But what better way to get out of your own head?
Right.
To cheer on your own team and just go absolutely crazy on the sideline?
Right. And it'd be pretty hard not to do it against a team like this or in just a match like this.
Yes. Honestly, I felt like whenever we played Lewis, it was just like a cheer off.
Mm-hmm.
Like that volleyball, they were just playing volleyball, but we were like,
Right.
the benches were against each other really.
So Alexandra Poyce, you played against her for a couple of years.
Yeah.
All conference, all region.
Really
player.
solid outside hitter. And you never guess that because she's smaller.
Yeah.
But
same thing with Taylor.
Taylor, yeah. They jump super high. So I always feel like it's harder to read a player like that. You can't really, there's like a split second where they pause in the air. And then you're like, what are you going to do? You don't really know.
We were talking about earlier how it seemed like Taylor stayed in the air for 20 seconds to get a block.
Yes.
It goes on a tip.
Yeah.
And you just don't know how because
She just stays
she's
up there
not
for
tall
so long.
and she just gets so high.
Yeah. Here's a block.
And of course, it's freshman, and we've already talked about several times, Alyssa, how much better she got defensively.
Oh my
the last couple
God.
of years.
I remember when she first came in, I think it was her sophomore year, and any ball that was hit to her, it just hit her hands, went straight to the floor. And we were like, okay, we can work with this. And then seeing her play her senior year, her defense was incredible, blocking so much better. So that was good to see.
All around her passing, and she's always in the right spot, was always in the right spot.
Yes, yeah, the system.
The system.
The
You only
system.
played it for a year.
1 year, but it made a huge difference. I think my first 3 years playing, we never really had a set system. We were trying some things out, and then Julie came in, and it's like, okay, we have a system, and you have to follow it. You don't have a choice not to.
At least you know, maybe you don't know what you're doing in the beginning, but you know you have a plan.
Yes, and that just, things flow a little bit better when you have a plan.
And you just trust in each other.
Yeah, yep.
So it's 10-5, I think that was
We're
the
up,
score.
yes. Lewis
Lewis
called
called
the timeout.
timeout. What's Jason saying in the huddle?
Oh
Is he even talking?
I don't think he's talking.
He said earlier that when you guys are winning, when the team's winning, mainly Julie just talks about what.
Yeah, like don't change anything. Like Julie might come in and say, this is what they're gonna run right away.
Yeah.
So this is our plan. But then you have another like 45 seconds left. So
Yeah.
then someone else talks or.
Who was the player to always step up in that situation? If Jason just was like, nah, I'm good.
Me.
You?
No, I'm trying to. Me, Mary Grace, she
course.
would always be talking. But at that point, like if you're up, it's the fifth set. Like there's no point in trying to like stress the team out. Like
Right.
four more points. We have to win this. Like
Yeah.
just try to keep it light. Like hey, what are we gonna do this weekend after we win these games?
So we have not talked about it at all today so far, which is kind of amazing. The swim team.
Oh my gosh.
They're right close to you because you're up top
Yes,
and Ruth
yep.
Lilly. They're running back and forth between
So
sets.
it was, I remember they did this my freshman year too, and I was trying, like obviously I'm playing, so I'm trying to stay focused, but I was like, what is going on? So it's like every 5 points we score, they take off one item of clothing.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get to 20 points, they're down to just their Speedos. And then once we win, they just run laps.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a little distracting for you. How distracting is it, do you actually think it is for the other team? In all honesty.
For Lewis?
Yeah.
Probably a little distracting. I mean, these guys are basically naked running
Yeah.
around. So,
I was surprised they weren't on the opposite. Well, they weren't on the side of where Lewis was.
well, they want Lewis to see them.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. And then they just run around. So and like they're running around in between sets. So it's like when they're in their timeout and
Yeah.
it's kind of distracting.
12-7 now. Jillian, another freshman. Good serve, and of course the dig
Yeah.
there.
Her digs are just so controlled. Another slide.
Between her and McKenna, both had over 300 digs apiece last year, which I did the research, and I don't know when that's ever happened between two freshmen.
Oh, they each had 300 digs
Yeah.
in one season. Yeah, that's
For freshmen, that's
insane.
for two people to have 3 digs is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Jenna was obviously she was a senior.
Yeah.
But she was right there too.
Yeah.
And 3 people with 300 digs. Who the other team supposed to hit it to? When you have just options.
The floor.
Yeah.
But they're there. Well, and their effort is just, I think that's something with like your defensive specialist, libero, like obviously you want them to have good ball control and everything, but as long as their effort is there, like you just want a libero back there who's going to absolutely just sacrifice everything to get one ball off the floor for one play, for 1 point. And I think that's what they did.
especially now it's 13-8. They can probably smell the win.
Yeah.
Lewis can smell the loss.
Yep.
We were just talking about 2 years ago when you guys beat Lewis. It was like 11-4,
Oh my
11-3.
God. Yeah.
In favor of Lewis, and you guys somehow came back and won. So you know you can't take them. The team can't take them lightly here
Yeah.
because they only can score 4 points.
That game, I still don't even know how we won that game. But we did, so I'm not going to ask questions.
Yeah.
Statistically, we 100% should have lost.
I know
but
Jason's talked about he already prepared his post-game speech about how well we tried and all that.
Yeah, during the fifth set. And that was his 100th win, too.
Right.
Our win against Lewis, so that was like a 2 birds, 1 stone.
So me and Katie talked about it. The team swept Bellarmine on Tuesday. 3 days later,
Okay.
now they have Lewis in 5. Tomorrow they have Illinois Springfield, who's a pretty scrappy team.
Oh, yeah.
And Katie said you can't really focus on tomorrow, but how important is it? You've already played 2 matches in the week.
Yeah.
And now this is one of the best teams in the conference and region and country. You don't think about tomorrow until it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and when you're in the moment, especially against Lewis, like you want to win so bad, you can't think about anything else. It's absolutely consuming. So, but that's 3 matches in 1 week is not easy.
Especially back-to-back 5-setters.
Oh my gosh.
That went to 5 sets too. And
then you're just exhausted. There's no air conditioning in the gym. You're dehydrated.
Right.
For the love of the game.
big block there. Katie left, and she was like, yeah, this is a good 5th set. And she has a few kills. She has a few blocks.
Yeah.
And, of course, now it's 14-9, and we already know who's coming in to serve is Maddie.
Maddie. Aw.
She only played 2 sets, I think, this match.
And there's a swim team up there going crazy.
Well, she doesn't care. She probably doesn't even know. Good serve. The pass almost came right back over the net.
Yeah.
But she's about to have
I already have chills thinking about winning this.
big dig here. She
Big
comes
dig.
in, serves, digs, and then
It's so calm.
And then it's over.
It's like a free ball came to her.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like they were trying to get a kill. It was like a free ball. She pops it right up, right to Alyssa.
And too bad we can't hear your call right now.
Oh my
'Cause-
gosh. I was like, wow, this is going to be really annoying when they win because I'm just absolutely going to scream into this mic.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry.
Continue this run.
I know we let it run another 10, 15 seconds. We're going to see Katie and Taylor just give such a reluctant hug.
And
it's
after
after
that-
these high fives,
Yes.
which just it's like, oh, we're
Aw.
done finally.
So
One of the purest
just so
moments.
much energy and that much time for it to be over and to feel good. Just a win under your belt against Lewis.
Well, there it was. Beat Lewis again. Back-to-back years in Ruth
Yeah.
Lilly.
5th set though, that they had control the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like you didn't
Lewis
even really
scored
have
the
to
first
be,
2, and after that,
yeah,
it was
after that, you didn't really even have to be nervous.
right.
They just
Well,
they were calm.
Julie
They-
always says, goes to 5 sets, we win.
yes, especially in Ruth Lilly, no
Right.
question.
Well, Katie, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Everyone, that's 2020 virtual homecoming here at UIndy. The Hounds knock off number 6 Lewis in 5 sets last season in 2019. Thanks to head coach Jason Reed, senior Katie Furlong, and volleyball alum Katie Voelz for participating in this event. And go Hounds.